Our next speaker is hailing from London. He's a blockchain developer. He's the creator of NeoAuth and a maintainer of the GoNeo SDK. He has experience working with IBM and BBC News, so give it up for Charlie Revitt, founder of NeoAuth, a login using the Neo blockchain.
Hi, everyone. My name's Charlie Revitt. I'm here going to be talking about the decentralized application that I built that allows anyone to log in using the Neo blockchain. I'd just like to first thank Neo for giving me the opportunity to be here today. Come all the way from London. It's great to be here. I'm very grateful. I'd also really like to thank City of Zion because this is officially like a funded project by them, and then also Kryptonite One for helping out with some sponsorship. Today, I'm just going to give like a really high-level overview of the project, why we started it, and kind of what's been done over the last 4 months. Then go into the technical details of what's been going on really, how it works, some of the benefits, why specifically I think this can work on the Neo blockchain and maybe not on other public blockchains, and some of the current challenges that we're trying to fix in 2018. So NeoAuth, I think, is a pretty simple decentralized application. That was one of the main goals, was not to build this huge project for one of the first kind of decentralized applications on the Neo blockchain. It simply allows anyone to log into a web or mobile application using a Neo smart contract invoke, instead of doing the standard kind of email and password. So you'd use your normal wallet address, so public and private key, to sign a transaction, send that to the NeoAuth smart contract, which would then allow you to kind of prove that you are who you say you are and log into that system. And this is looking at integrating into any web application that already has authentication. So talking to the community, a lot of people see it as a kind of OAuth type mechanism. You can expect it to kind of sit below or above, like login with Facebook, login with Neo. That's where a lot of people kind of see it. Technically, it's very different to OAuth, but it's an easy way to describe it if you're familiar with that process already. Quickly looking at what we've done so far already. Obviously, the City of Zion guys published in September the first competition, and that really sparked the interest for what are we actually going to build. Again, I wanted to do something quite simple. Over the next couple of months, we then built it and launched it on the testnet with lots of kind of community participation. Talked to Tom a lot on Slack. He was a great help. December was when City of Zion announced who won the competition. We were really lucky to be one of the chosen 10 projects and secure some funding, which has helped kind of carry the project into 2018. And up until now, we're rewriting all of the back end to make it a little bit more user-friendly and secure, because we've got some feedback from the community. Interestingly, we also had to rename the project because of trademark issues. So it was called BlockAuth, so now it's called NeoAuth. Looking at the motivation, I think one of the core things from a business point of view was businesses want to, websites want an easy way to kind of look at how they can start using blockchain, or specifically Neo. And pretty much every single website you need to log in. So allowing them to integrate a simple solution into their existing authentication mechanism is kind of what we're going for. So something not too over the top, something that most web developers could start to do, and if they're really interested in the blockchain, that they would go after it. From an end user point of view, we wanted to increase the authentication security for end users, so get away from email and passwords. This has been a push within the industry kind of altogether. So you've seen Slack use magic links that use emails and no passwords, same with SMS. So it's a push within the industry, and we wanted to kind of ride with that. And of course, we wanted to promote Neo, because if you make a good project, then you can push it into businesses that may not already know about Neo. And we specifically wanted to make a very simple smart contract so that developers joining the community had an easy place to start and understand how an existing project developed. So technically, what is NeoAuth? How's it made up? So at the top, we've got the NeoAuth node, which is kind of like a middleware. It means that the business doesn't actually have to integrate directly with the Neo blockchain. They can just use a really simple REST API provided by the node. This does mean that a network of NeoAuth nodes have to be run and they have to be decentralized. I'll go into that slightly later. That is a problem that we're having with the project so far. This is written in Go and uses the NeoGo SDK that I authored in COZ. It's pretty simple, and it allows the businesses to kind of be shielded from any of the complexities of the blockchain. The second part is an SDK written in JavaScript, which is what the businesses will actually be using to integrate NeoAuth into the authentication solution. And then we've got a smart contract, again, like the guys said earlier, written in Python, because we saw it as the easiest way to debug and quickly test on the Neo blockchain. I'm going to quickly go through the 10-step process of what actually happens in a login attempt using NeoAuth to kind of shine a light on exactly what's going on. So a user will visit an app which is integrated with NeoAuth. They'll enter their public address. This is the only thing they need to enter at this point. The application will then send this address to a NeoAuth node, which will respond with a proof, which is contained within a signed JWT token. If you don't know what JWT token is, it's simply an encrypted or signed blob of JSON, which simply means that all parties know that that piece of data has not been tampered with by any middleman. You can read it without knowing the key, but you can prove it using public and private key cryptography. That proof is just a string that the user will need to enter into the smart contract. So that's passed back to the application, and the application will then render that to the user. And at this point, the user then goes off and invokes the NeoAuth smart contract with that proof using the address that they entered earlier on. This goes into the NeoAuth smart contract, which stores this proof in the storage mechanism of the smart contract. So at this point, we've got the proof sat in that smart contract, but the application doesn't know if it actually exists anymore. It doesn't exist yet, so it needs to query the blockchain. The easiest way to do that is go through one of the NeoAuth nodes instead of going directly there. So it queries the NeoAuth node to ask, does that proof exist in the smart contract? At that point, the NeoAuth node does an RPC call using the Go SDK to the blockchain to check for that storage. If it is present, it then needs to validate that that proof has been stored by the address that the user entered at first. So someone could have got the proof and entered it from a different address, so you need to validate that. If that is the case, then the NeoAuth node will return another signed JWT token, and that's the point where the application can then store that in session storage or local storage on the device. And it's a similar authentication flow from then on, because within that signed JWT token will be some kind of identifier, most likely the address of the user. And that's what the application then can use to understand who that person is. So normally that might be an email address, but in this case it's a Neo address. The NeoAuth smart contract is incredibly simple. It's 100 lines of Python. Most of them are comments. It's a great place to start if you want to look at a real-world smart contract. So the first thing it does is just validates the proof, the format of the proof. We don't just want to be storing anything in the smart contract storage, and there's a specific format to what that proof should look like. So make sure it's a valid proof, and then goes on to store that proof as the key within the storage mechanism. So if you're familiar with key value storage, or Redis, for example, that's how the storage mechanism within Neo works. So the proof is used as the key, and the value is the transaction. So when the RPC call goes to the Neo blockchain, it'll be looking up the stored transaction hash using the proof key, which the JWT token it contains, and the transaction hash can then be used to get the address of the person who invoked the smart contract, which will allow you to know if it is actually you or someone else that invoked it. So we've got some benefits that we really like. Some of them are quite nerdy, some of them are not. Obviously, the big one is there's no passwords and you get to use the public key cryptography within the Neo blockchain, which of course means that you can store your login credentials like how you'd store a normal address, so that could be on a hardware device. One that might be overlooked, but what we think is quite important, it's fully decentralized and it's open source. Most authentication mechanisms or solutions aren't. And the other one, which I've kind of touched on before, is that it's quite a simple introduction to the blockchain. We've had some other suggestions of how to add reputation and other things into the product, but we want to keep it pretty simple so that it's not, it's got a low barrier to entry if people want to use it. One thing that the Reddit community has kind of picked up on that we think is quite cool is multiple identities. So as you all know, it's pretty easy to generate a new Neo public key or wallet. So it means that you can instantly create new identities because those wallets act as your identities. So you could go as far to creating a different identity for every single application, or you could create anonymous temporary identities or group your identities based on work, personal, shopping. If you've used Firefox, this kind of already exists, but you could actually go a step further to actually log in with them. You can kind of imagine a Chrome extension, so you can pick which key you're willing to use. And I think at this point saying that, yes, this is a COZ project, so of course this is going to be on the Neo blockchain, but I think, I don't think it would work on other blockchains because we have very, very fast block times. So yes, the user will probably have to wait 20 seconds to log in, but if that's on another blockchain, it would be much longer than that because it will require more than one confirmation. On Neo, you only need one. If we actually got the block times down to 15 seconds, like the white paper says, it would be even better. Because the cost of invoking a smart contract from a user perspective is based on how complex that smart contract is, and the NeoAuth smart contract is very simple, it means that it's completely free for users to use. And other than that, generally the development experience of using NeoPython, working with COZ, and getting that support has been great. It's been really good getting some feedback on Reddit. Everyone's really approachable and wants to get involved. And I think the last thing around funding, there aren't other public blockchains which have got big funding efforts to put money in smaller projects like this. We do, however, have some current challenges. We are open to DDoS because all of the all the proofs are stored within the same kind of general bucket in the smart contract, which means that someone could technically send a bunch of proofs with the correct format to the smart contract and block other users from logging in. They would never log in as that person, it would just block the other person from doing so. This is highly unlikely because generating the proofs is really random, but if you were really determined, you could probably start doing it. We're looking at fixing that this year. Public and business understanding of both private keys and then understanding the value of this is lacking. So a lot of people on Reddit didn't really understand using public-private keys, and that was just because people are still quite unfamiliar with them, and it's the whole idea of people think it's a wallet and your coins are stored on your wallet and not the blockchain. So there's still some work to do there. I think invoking smart contracts in general on the Neo blockchain has some work to do there in terms of user experience. The NeoLink guys are doing some great work, and when that gets more towards what MetaMask is like, I think that'd be great. Already talked about slower block times, so that impacts the user's wait time. So if it did get to 15 seconds, it would make a big difference. And finally, I mentioned earlier that there's a need to run as many decentralized NeoAuth nodes. Most of them are run by us currently. it's quite hard to incentivize people to run them unless they're using NeoAuth, but we'd like that to happen. So we're thinking of ways of rewarding people and also reducing this kind of difficulty to set up. So what are we going to work on in 2018? The first quarter is just integrating with some COZ projects, so we really want to put it into the Neon wallet and NeoLink, and then finish the rewrite on version 2. That'll then lead us to get some more kind of final testing with the community and then launch on mainnet, which we've been wanting to do for a while, but there's still some like niggling bits in our smart contract that we want to make perfect. After that, we want to prove that people actually want to use this. So talk to both people in the crypto space and outside of the crypto space to see if people would like to integrate this into their websites. And then finally, trying to fix that issue with the NeoAuth nodes. So it's hard at the moment because we can't reward people, so maybe doing a token sale, raising some private funds so we can find a way of rewarding people for actually running those nodes. Cool, so that's NeoAuth. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's a pretty simple decentralized application, so if you are a developer and you just want to get a kind of easy intro into an end-to-end solution, then check it out on GitHub, or follow us on Twitter, or follow me on Twitter, and just ping me any messages that you've got. Cool, thank you very much.